All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're diving into a book that basically wants to turn everything you thought you knew about nutrition completely upside down. It questions the very foundation of what we've been told is healthy for decades. So yeah, let's get into it.
14,000. Think about that number for a second. That's how many approved food additives are in our food supply today. Just 50 years ago, that number was only 800. It just goes to show you how radically our food world has changed. And it sets up a pretty big question, right?
And yeah, that's really the heart of what this book is asking. I mean, we are drowning in health advice, low-fat this, low-fat that, government food pyramids, and yet things like obesity and chronic diseases, they just keep going up and up. So what is going on?
Well, the book starts with this pretty provocative idea that our whole healthcare system is kind of playing whack-a-mole. It's become all about managing symptoms, giving your prescription to cover something up, instead of asking the most basic question, what are we actually putting into our bodies that's causing the problem to begin with?
So, okay, how did we get here? How did our nutritional advice get so backwards? Well, according to this book, it wasn't some simple mistake. It was, allegedly, a deliberate campaign. And you gotta look at the history to see how it supposedly went down.
The story, as the book tells it, starts way back in the 60s. That's when internal documents suggest the sugar industry started paying for research. Research designed to shift the blame for heart disease away from sugar. And by the 70s, it worked. The studies came out, and suddenly fat was public enemy number one. And what happened next? The 80s and 90s became the age of the low-fat craze. Everything was low-fat, but to make it taste good, they just pumped it full of sugar.
And when experts went back and looked at these documents years later, they were floored. You've got Marion Nestle, a nutrition professor at NYU, quoted as saying she found it appalling. She even said she'd never seen examples that were this blatant. That adds some serious academic firepower to the book's argument.
So what's the bottom line here? The book argues that this whole historical mess led us to demonize fat and cholesterol. And while we were all busy avoiding fat like the plague, our sugar consumption just went through the roof, a lot of times without us even noticing.
Okay, so that really sets the stage for the book's biggest, most controversial idea: rethinking everything we know about fat and especially cholesterol. So, buckle up, because this is where it really challenges what we've all been taught for decades.
For years, the story has been super simple, right? You eat cholesterol, it raises your blood cholesterol, and then it clogs your arteries. End of story. But this book throws a huge wrench in that. It argues the whole sequence is wrong. The real story, it claims, starts with inflammation. Inflammation damages your arteries first, and only then does your body send cholesterol to the scene to try and patch things up. It's basically a repair crew.
And to really hammer this home, the author uses this fantastic analogy. Blaming cholesterol for heart disease, that's like showing up to a house fire and blaming the firefighters for the damage, right? The cholesterol is just there to do its job. The real problem, the arsonist and his whole story, is the inflammation.
And far from being this evil substance, the book says cholesterol is absolutely critical. I mean, what does our body actually need it for? Well, for starters, it builds our cell membranes. It helps with serotonin in the brain. That's your feel-good chemical. It's essential for making our stress and sex hormones. And you even need it to use vitamin D properly. It's kind of important.
All right, so if fat and cholesterol aren't the villains, and it's really the sugar and carbs causing all this inflammation, what do we do? What's the fix? Well, this next part of the book gets into the biology of how you can actually switch your body's main fuel source. Let's bring this home for a second. Think about a breakfast that we've all been told is healthy. A bowl of cereal, some skim milk, maybe a banana on top. What is really happening inside your body after you eat that?
Okay, just look at this comparison from the book. It's wild. That healthy breakfast with the cereal and a banana, it breaks down into the equivalent of more than 25 teaspoons of pure sugar hitting your bloodstream. Now compare that to a breakfast of eggs and veggies, just 1.5 teaspoons. I mean, the difference is it's night and day.
And here's the kicker that puts it all into perspective. Your body, your entire bloodstream, only wants about 1 single teaspoon of sugar in it at any given moment. That's it. So that cereal breakfast, it's a flood. It's like 25 times the amount your body wants to handle, and it forces this massive emergency insulin response. So what's the alternative the book proposes? It's to get into a state called nutritional ketosis. And don't let the name scare you, it's actually a really simple idea. It's just a metabolic state where your body, because it's not being flooded with carbs anymore, is forced to switch its main fuel. It stops running on sugar and starts running on fat. So why does this work? It's because our bodies have this, like, a fuel hierarchy, a pecking order for what it burns first. It's got to deal with alcohol first, then it moves to protein, then carbs. Fat is always dead last on the list. So you can see, right, if you're eating a high-carb diet, your body is so busy burning through all that glucose that it almost never has a chance to tap into your fat stores for energy.
Okay, so as the book wraps up, it really makes a point to say that this isn't just another fad diet you do for a few weeks to lose weight. It's presented as a total lifestyle change, a fundamental shift in how you think about the fuel you're giving your body. And this is where it all comes full circle. The goal here isn't just to treat the symptom, the extra weight. It's to go after the root cause, a messed up metabolic system that's been running on the wrong fuel for years. By flipping that fuel priority from carbs back to fat, the book claims you can actually start to heal your body from the inside out.
And it's not all about food either. The author is really clear that to be truly healthy, you have to manage all the inputs. We're talking about getting good sleep, like 8 to 10 hours, actively managing your stress, getting some smart sun exposure for that vitamin D, and focusing on strength training to keep your muscles strong.
And that's where we'll leave it. What this book really does is present this radical challenge to mainstream nutritional advice, and it traces it all back to what it claims is a pretty shady history. It really leaves you with one last big question to chew on. If the very foundation of what we thought was healthy was potentially flawed, what other long-held rules have we been following that might be worth breaking?